Hey everyone, it's Nora here from Nora's Ark, and today we are starting onion seeds. It's February 12th, so it's time for us to start onion seeds. We're in southern Wisconsin here in zone 5A, and they say that you want to start your onions about 8 to 12 weeks before you're going to plant them out. And we usually plant them out sometime in May. Depends on when we have our garden ready and the spot ready for them, but that's 8 to 12 weeks from now. So we're starting onions, and it's pretty exciting because this is the first seed that we're starting of the 2023 season. We have all of our onion varieties laid out here, and we have 7 different varieties that we're doing this year. We picked them for a variety of different reasons. The first reason is that you have to pick varieties of onions based on where you are in the United States. So we're in the northern United States here in Wisconsin, and that means that we want to plant long day onions. There's 2 different types of onions, short day and long day. And the difference between those is that in the northern half of the United States, the days get longer in the summer, and they get a lot longer than they are in the winter. So that's a big change versus in the south, the day's length doesn't vary as much. So that's why there's short day onions if you live in the southern part of the United States. So anyway, we're planting, all these are long day, either that or there'll be there's an in-between. It's like that doesn't really matter what kind of day it is, and they're called intermediate day onions. So they're either long day or intermediate day onions, and intermediate onions can be planted in either of those regions. Another reason we picked out these varieties is that all of them are good for storage. So we live in Wisconsin, again, as I mentioned, and it gets really cold, and we store a lot of our onions in our food storage area. We have a room in our basement that we store a lot of onions in. So we always want to get varieties that are going to store well, because we're not necessarily going to eat all of them fresh from the garden. We're planting about 160 onions. And I'm going to do 160 in this tray. So we have this 10 by 20 tray, which I've put in these 8 inserts in them. And so then we'll do 20 onions per cell, and then there'll be 160 we're gonna do here. And I'm gonna put these under our grow lights inside. And then we're gonna do an experiment this year where we're doing 40 onions in here. So we're just gonna do 10 per cell. And we're actually going to do these outside in a winter sowing method. And we're going to do a video where we compare how these 2 varieties of seed starting work. So indoor with the lights versus winter sowing outside. And we'll see how each of them grow. And this is our first time trying winter sowing, so it should be interesting. And you're probably wondering, well, why aren't you using a milk jug then? And we're thinking that we can just do it like this and tuck it in one of our greenhouses outside. So we'll show you that at the end of the video where we're going to put that. But anyway, we're going to start them 2 different ways, and we're starting 160 in here. So that way we know we'll have our 160 because we've started them under grow lights inside before. So that 160 should be successful. And then this 40 will just be an extra if it works out with our winter sowing method. So that'll be awesome. Something else I wanted to talk about is the soil that we're using this year. In the past, we've used seed starting mix, just like organic burpee seed starting mix, but we started having problems with storage with that, and it was getting like moldy if we stored it for a long time inside. So we switched to coconut coir recently, and we switched to that mostly for our microgreens, and we've had a lot of good success with that. So we're gonna try and do all of our seedlings with coconut coir this year and see how it goes. And we did a lot of research, and it says that seedlings don't really need that much nutrients when they're this small and young. So hopefully coconut coir will be able to get them to a big enough size before we bring them outside. And if we start to notice that maybe they aren't doing so well, we could always hit them with some organic fertilizer in the middle of our seed starting time. So we're going to try that this year. And we've already moistened up the coconut coir, put it in our trays. And something else I wanted to mention too about the trays is that usually we do all of our seed starting in solo cups. This year we're doing it this way because we've done onions now for about 3 years, and we noticed that we could fit a lot of onion seedlings in a solo cup. They're really not that hard to separate. When it comes to separating them out, you can kind of just like dump the cup out and then separate out your onion bulbs. It's really not difficult. It's not like separating a tomato plant or something where their roots are really bound together. So onions are really easy to separate, so that's why we're like, okay, we'll just do them in these little trays, and then we can just pop out these little trays when we go to transplant them, and it should be really easy to separate them. And then also these trays have drainage holes in them, so they'll be able to drain inside the tray that we're having them sit in. So like I said, I'm gonna just go ahead and do rows in here and get the seeds in here, and then cover them with a little bit of soil, spritz them, and put them in their landing spots. The onions are all sown now in their spots, and they'll stay here for about the next 8 to 12 weeks until they're ready to plant out. As I mentioned, I'll be doing this big tray in under grow lights inside the whole time to start them. And then these are gonna go outside in our little greenhouse, and we're gonna try the winter sowing method for these ones. So we'll show you where we're gonna put those, but they'll be there for, like I mentioned, the next 8 to 12 weeks, and then we'll have onion seedlings to transplant out.